Most of us only train the muscles we can actually see. We obsess over our chest and arms, completely ignoring the powerhouse that holds our entire body together. But let me tell you the truth. A weak back is a recipe for terrible posture, chronic pain, and a physique that simply falls flat. Your shoulders roll forward, your posture suffers, and from the back, you look completely flat. Stop ignoring the most important muscle group on your body. Your back is your engine. It's time to change that right now. Today, we are building a massive bulletproof back. I am giving you 6 raw, heavy pulling movements to build a thick, bulletproof back. Get your mind right and let go. Let us kick things off with a true foundational powerhouse. Exercise 1. Bent over 1 dumbbell row. Think of this as the ultimate sculptor for your latissimus dorsi. Find a flat bench. Place your left knee and your left hand flat on the pad to lock in your spine. Plant your right foot firmly on the floor. Grab that dumbbell. Keep your back perfectly flat and engage your core. Now do not just pull with your hand. I want you to imagine your arm is just a hook. Drive your elbow up and back toward the ceiling. Pull that weight right into your hip pocket. When you reach the top, squeeze that shoulder blade like your life depends on it. Inhale deeply as you slowly lower the dumbbell, feeling a massive stretch all the way down your side. This isolation fixes muscle imbalances and builds incredible thickness. Aim for 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions per arm. Master this stretch and squeeze, and you will force your back to grow like never before. Next up, we are taking things to the cable station. Exercise 2, bent over 1 arm cable pull. If you want constant, unforgiving tension on your muscles, this is your new best friend. Stand facing the low pulley and take a step back. Hinge at your hips, rest your free hand on your knee for ultimate stability and grab the handle. Let the cable pull your shoulder forward just a bit to get a deep, agonizing stretch in your lats. Now ignite the movement. Pull the handle directly toward your waistline, driving that elbow straight back. The beauty of the cable is that the resistance never drops. Your back is fighting the weight at the very bottom, and it is screaming at the very top. Squeeze hard at the peak contraction, then slowly resist the weight on the way back down. This movement targets the lats, rhomboids, and rear delts with laser precision. Hit 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. The pump you get from this continuous tension is absolutely unreal. Let us move on to a true hidden gem in the gym. Exercise 3, Landmine 1 arm bent over row. This exercise provides a completely unique stimulus because the barbell travels in a natural arc. Load up one end of a barbell in the landmine attachment. Stand sideways near the weighted end, hinge at your hips, and keep your spine rigidly straight. Grab the thick part of the barbell sleeve with one hand. Keep your core tight. Now, row the weight up toward your hip. The fixed pivot point forces your elbow to track perfectly, allowing for a mind-blowing contraction in your lower lats. You will feel your back light up exactly where you need it. Lower the weight under strict control, feeling the muscle fibers stretch out. This movement is incredibly friendly on your lower back while still allowing you to move heavy loads. I want you to push for 3 sets of 10 reps per side. Feel that smooth arc, command the weight, and watch your back thickness explode. We are turning up the intensity now with exercise 4, bent over 2 arm dumbbell row. This is where we separate the amateurs from the veterans. You are taking both dumbbells, standing with your feet hip width apart, and hinging over until your torso is nearly parallel to the floor. Your hamstrings are tight, your core is braced like a brick wall, and your lower back is locked into a safe position. Let the dumbbells hang down, then forcefully pull both elbows up to the ceiling simultaneously. Squeeze your shoulder blades together at the top, crushing that middle back. Lower them slowly and let your lats stretch out at the bottom. By doing both arms at once without a bench, Your entire posterior chain is forced into overdrive to stabilize your body. It builds raw, functional strength across your traps, rhomboids, and lats. Give me 4 sets of 12 reps. Pick a weight you can truly control and make every single repetition count. It's time for the absolute undisputed king of back builders, exercise 5, bent over barbell row. If you want a back that looks wide from the front and thick from the side, this is mandatory. Step up to the barbell with a shoulder width stance. Hinge at your hips, keep your chest up, and grab the bar with an overhand grip. Your torso should be angled at about 45 degrees. Brace your core and pull the bar aggressively right into your belly button. Drive those elbows back and pinch your shoulder blades together at the top of the movement. Then lower the bar smoothly until your arms are fully extended. This recruits every single muscle fiber from your lower lats all the way up to your traps. It is brutal, it is exhausting, but the results are undeniable. Load up the bar for 4 sets of 10 reps. Control the negative, explode on the concentric, and let us build that dense, powerful physique you came here for. Finally, we are finishing strong with exercise 6, two-handed landmine row. This is the ultimate finisher to pack massive thickness onto your mid-back. Straddle the landmine barbell, hinge your hips back, and keep your spine perfectly neutral. Hook a close grip V handle under the bar right beneath the weight plates. With your arms fully extended, pull the handle straight up into your upper stomach. Because your hands are close together, you get an incredibly deep stretch at the bottom and an unmatched, brutal squeeze in your inner back at the top. Your lats, rhomboids, and lower traps will be absolutely on fire. Use smaller weight plates so you can increase your range of motion without the plates hitting your chest too early. Finish your workout with 3 sets of 15 reps. Squeeze at the top of every rep until you literally cannot pull the weight anymore. This is where you dig deep and forge a back made of pure armor. Tell me in the comments below what muscle group is the hardest for you to grow. I read every single comment and I really want to help you win. Please subscribe to the channel so we can keep training together every single week. Have an amazing workout and I will see you in the next workout.